called the Point of Dystopia. The Greek word utopia was brought into common English usage by Sir Thomas More. His 16th century book of the same name described an idyllic island of equality, a society run for the benefit of its citizens. Utopia literally means no place. From there, it was a hop, skip, and jump to the word dystopia. How do we know when we are living in a utopia versus a dystopia? Can we agree that the minimum quality of any society, never mind a utopia, is that it has to be run for the benefit of its inhabitants? Anyone feel like they live in a society that is run for their benefit? If our society is not for its people, then what is it for? What is the point? Joseph Schumpeter was an early 20th century political economist. He is responsible for the concept of the entrepreneur. He also popularized the concept of creative destruction. That new ideas would lead to the destruction of the old ways of doing things, and that it was the driver of growth in an economy, that capitalism was an evolutionary process. However, he also believed that capitalism would eventually collapse, weakened by the very things that pushed it forward, ending in corporatism run by elites. How do we know when we are living in a utopia versus a dystopia? If something is bad for the people working in an economy, but good for the economy, what is the point? Who is the economy for? In the middle of the 20th century, mathematician and considered by many the inventor of the modern computer, Alan Turing, proposed the imitation game, more commonly known as the Turing test. The imitation game was a test for a machine to fool a human into thinking that the machine was human. We are in the midst of the great AI revolution, with its promise of freedom from drudgery and a new generation of tools and productivity. However, art was first. Art the refuge, art the joy bringer, art the context giver. Whose drudgery and productivity is the AI revolution for the benefit of? How do we know when we are living in a utopia versus a dystopia? Technological improvements that don't bring improvements but just a destruction of the things that we most value. What is the point? There's a surprising lack of a reverse Turing test in this AI revolution. A test to separate what is machine regurgitated rather than human created. The lack of footnotes with generative AI would seem to be a useful addition for a tool. Stymied by overprotection of algorithmic secrets or perhaps potential evidence in copyright infringement lawsuits. And then there's insistence on the marketing-friendly term AI, rather than the more accurate machine learning. Machine learning is what humans have previously created, scraped from the internet, stuffed into a blender, and output to decent summarization engines and lukewarm guessing machines, without a thought to copyright and intellectual property. Woo! We will sleepwalk into AI invading the workplace, learning from us, getting better because of us, replacing us because it is cheaper, but eventually failing because of a lack of new data. We are the Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail, from the ancient Egyptian enigmatic book of the netherworld, from the tomb of Tutankhamun, a funereal text of prescience from a people long gone. How do we know when we are living in a utopia versus a dystopia? Sam Altman is the CEO of OpenAI, originally a non-profit focused on AI safety, but now a for-profit company that is most widely known for ChatGPT, and the internal infighting over the lies and riches of temptation. Altman has said multiple times on stage and in his own blog, AI will most likely lead to the end of the world. But in the meantime, there will be great companies created with serious machine learning. When Michael Crichton wrote, "Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they didn't stop to think if they should," he was talking about bringing dinosaurs back from the dead, not making poor people poorer and rich people richer. Tech bros can't even make a printer that works. What is the point? The artificial intelligence apocalypse will not be killer robots who look like Arnold. A lot less of those kind of movies for those keeping count. The infopocalypse will be an algorithmic incoherent, an internet of machines talking to machines, manipulating and obfuscating to the highest bidder. Alexa, should I leave my wife? Answered by averages and random chance. The opinion of machines more important than the opinions of people. The death of the internet as a tool is probably already here. With Reddit the default result on Google for almost everything. Since when did Reddit become the arbiter of truth? How do we know when we're living in a utopia versus dystopia? According to Greek myth, when Pandora opened a box in the care of her husband, all the evils of the world were released. Slamming it shut too late, she trapped hope in the box. We live in a world of technologies that are artificially limited or forced into failure for the benefit of society, rather than the people that are in that society. Copyright only seems to matter for those who can punch downwards. Your iPhone can't have a headphone jack, so we can sell you Bluetooth headphones for hundreds of dollars. Our books, movies, and music are not owned, but at the whims of a subscription model and changing licensing agreements. Cloud-based document sharing put paid to paper and those pesky printers. Selling ink that costs more than the printer was just not quite good enough. The promise of lies. The lies of promise. What is the point? If we can limit and implement technology for the benefit of corporations, billionaires, and the status quo, it can be limited and implemented for people. Are we in a pot of water slowly boiling? The fable goes that a frog will jump out if placed in a pot of boiling water, but will slowly be cooked alive if placed in cool water that is incrementally heated. However, what actually happens if you place a frog into boiling water is that it dies. And if you place a frog into cool water, it jumps out because it can. Can we jump out of the pot, or have we already been dumped into boiling water? Not using AI will require the courage of our convictions, that being creative doesn't always have to be destructive, that moving fast and breaking things just leads to broken things, that society should be for the benefit of all the people inside them, and that we all get to decide what the point is. Do we live in a utopia or a dystopia? Thank you very much, everybody.